What am I trying to accomplish? I think that the question raises an interesting distinction, or an important distinction, which is that the difference between the work of a critic and the work of a reviewer. A critic, as you say, is the intention of critical work is to illuminate, to elucidate, to explain, and a reviewer is thumbs up or thumbs down, and usually works in the context of a daily newspaper or a weekly magazine, reviewing a show or something like that. That's a low form of work, the expression of taste. Not really. It is a low form of work in my mind. Criticism, though, is a high calling. It's a very rare that somebody has both the acuity, the kind of, it's astonishing, for example, the range of things that Adam Gopnik can write about. He's a brilliant man who apparently can absorb wildly disparate forms, from Bob Hope to Jesus, frankly. He's written about both of them. Edmund, he's in the tradition of Edmund Wilson, or Nabokov's lectures on literature. So in that context, I'm working obliquely within that context. You're exactly right. I mean, if you're going to write a piece about Edward Hirsch and about the writing of a particular poem, you're illuminating something, if you're successful, about creation, about intention, about the explication of a text. I usually, though, perhaps it would benefit me to have a better plan in mind before I start. I usually begin in the dark, and I keep asking questions until I seem to I've covered everything. There's once I read somewhere someone asking John McPhee, how do you know when you've finished your reporting? And he said, when I ask a question, I get an answer I've heard before. And that's, probably pretty much correct. And that's, for me, been sort of a working method. I think I might start trying to go more towards the idea of a more apparent plan when I begin. But, I'm like a fringe critic. I'm, out there on the range of something which is not. I mean, I work at the New Yorker of 2014 now. When I worked at the New Yorker of 1980, a piece about Edward Hirsch and the writing of this poem Gabriel would be entirely different. There would have been room in the piece to discuss Hirsch's past work and the themes that he's written often about grief, for example, and about mourning, and sadness and melancholy are important parts of his poetry, along with joy. But there isn't room in something like this. So to a certain degree, the context itself defines what you're going to have to discuss, and so you have to decide, how do I compress the things that I want to discuss, and how do I give some sense of. But it is an attempt, I suppose, to try to figure out. I mean, very much this particular piece was an attempt to try to describe how a tragedy befalling a great artist becomes a work of art. And of course, it's still mysterious. I mean, nobody really knows. And you can't arrive at that. You can only give a specific case. So we know how it happened in Edward Hirsch's case, but which is to me worth knowing. But I haven't got also what a possibly along with probably greater intelligence than I possess. What an actual critic would need is a real academic context. You can't write about Faulkner if you haven't read all of Faulkner's books carefully, and you haven't read the things that Faulkner read, and you haven't, so that Updike used to be this kind of critic who would write pieces about American literary figures, usually American literary, Hawthorne, Melville, people like that, based on a very close, acute, and original reading of the work and the influences and that sort of thing. I simply haven't got the critical equipment to do that, so I'm not. I'm kind of forced to the sidelines and the fringes, but I do have the equipment to try to explain something about how a particular kind of work comes about in the context of a particular life, and those are the kinds of critical pieces I've written if critics would accept them as critical pieces.